This demo is to show you how to migrate from using iframe signing to component signing. There are lots of reasons to migrate. Partly browser restrictions are coming in. The new component version signing is a lot better than the previous version, and it's the one we'll be taking forward and improving over time. It's better security and lots more reasons. I've asked Kiro why that might be, and you can see why there's a few reasons down there. So I'm using an editor called Kiro, which has an AI variation on Claude, and I've made a small app just to show how signing using iframe currently works. So I've got an index here. Let's get the server running. So you can see I've got an index page here. There's a button to create the document, and then it will show the created signing doc in the iframe. So let's just do that, make sure it works. It does work, there you go. So what's happened there is I've clicked the button, it's fired this create document call to the back end, which has returned the signing link and inserted it into the iframe. So looking back at the server, here it is. What you've got is the call to create a document. I've just done a sample set of queries using a ready-made template. It creates the document and returns the signing link, and then the front end puts it in the iframe there. So you can see it is pretty straightforward. And here's our create document function to create the document. Again, I've just used a pretty basic payload there. You can see return signer links is true. I've stopped the emails and I put in a ready-made signer. So it's just a demo just to show you how it works. You'll be familiar with this from having used iframe before. So what we want to do now is replace this with a component. So the steps are, once you've created the document, you want to get the recipient ID. You then want to get the component token, return those details back to the front end, and then the front end replace this iframe with a component token. So we'll just walk through how to do that and doing it. So our first step is to create the document. There's no changes there. But rather than pass out the signing links and return them, we're going to just do a couple more steps to get the component details. All right, because we're using an AI, we're going to just ask the AI to do it. You should connect to our MCP server to make this a lot easier when you come to code it too. It should be able to search the docs and the reference docs and pull up what you need. So I'm going to ask Hero to first of all query for the document, the recipient ID, first recipient ID for our document. Query for the document and extract the first recipient ID. So hopefully Kira will go and do that now. Okay, see if we can find it. Okay, here's our call to create the document. Now it's added it in here on line 109. It's done a call to get the document and extracted the UUID, the UID of the recipient just below. So we've got the recipient ID. Now we need to get the component token. So I'll ask Kiro to get that. Using the recipient ID, get the signer component token and return those front end. We don't need signer links anymore. So let's look for it to do that. All right, so it's called the get token endpoint. You can see here, it's done it correctly. It's got the recipient ID called component token. It's used our API key and it's returned the token and session ID. And now it's returned, this is the important thing, it's returned the recipient ID, the token, and the session ID it's got back from component token. And that's all you need in your front end. So I think that is now complete. So as you can see, we've created the document, then we've just added two steps: get the recipient ID and get the token. Now this is a short-lived token and session ID you want to pass back to front end, and you insert it into the component, and then it'll work. So let's go back to our index, and we want to replace our iframe with the component. So let's get the AI to do that too. Replace the iframe with legally signing component. The create document call should return the attributes you need. So now what it's going to do is check the MCP, figure out how to make the signing component, and insert it. So let's have a look. Looks like it's done it. So what we have here is entered a div, and now it's inserted the component programmatically. You can see it's created an element called ls signer. It's set the attribute, recipient ID, private key, and session ID, and then it's put it into this div. The other thing it's done is just call in the component JavaScript, which you can use the same URL yourself. So it's a pretty straightforward change. Let's see, it looks like it's going to work. So let's just restart the server and see that it does work. Not yet. Yeah, there we go. All right, create document. Oh, there we go. So it has worked and it's returned it. It doesn't look much changed, but now what you're looking at is a component and not an iframe, and we've done it. Just go over it again briefly. Once you've created your document, as you're already doing, once you get the response, extract the document ID, use that to query for the document details endpoint. That gives you the recipient ID. Plug that into component token, sign a recipient ID, component token. That returns to your session ID token, pass that to the front end, and import the component module, and that's it. Insert the ls signer component with the attributes that we need: recipient ID, private key, session ID. And that it should just work. There's a couple more things to know. First is make sure you're using a newer API key for this function. The newer API keys start AK. If you don't have one, go to developer.legalesign.com and you can create one. Your old keys will still work, so you don't need to worry about that. But for this call, you need to use a newer API key. It's a good idea to replace your old legacy keys with the newer API keys anyway. But you can use both. Happy coding. If you've got any questions, get in touch with us at support@legalesign.com. We'll be pleased to hear from you. Thanks for watching.